Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 2, episode 39. And as promised from the last episode, today we're going to cover what Canadians would call the BC markets, which is really AKA synonymous to markets where the property values are a little on the higher end overall as well. And so I just really want to share this once again to remind everybody that lease options, the way we are looking at it and how we are executing it, is simply because of the fact that we are providing alternative lending. So really, if you put your lender's hat on, it really has nothing to do with how much the market is at or how pricey, how costly the market is at, because at the end of the day, what we are really truly focusing on is helping these people get into property through alternative financing. And so what that means is the most important factor, once again, isn't really on the property values, but rather what the tenant buyers can afford and can bear and ultimately can qualify and purchase for. So that being said, remember, it's always about walking from the end goal in mind. And so what that means, once again, is how much the tenant buyers can actually get qualified for. So here, let's take a quick look once again. This is the general, you know what, let me change that back to, oopsie, let me change that back to black pen here. Okay, so let's just say that here is the lease with the option to purchase. And so let's start here so that it gives it a bit more of a clear concept. So let's just say that we actually have tenant buyers who are making decent income. However, because it's a higher end value market, sometimes they just cannot save fast enough because the market is appreciating so quickly. And this is actually one of the reasons why a lot of people choose to do rent to own, simply because of the fact that they are able to get predetermined and promised, in this particular case, really guaranteed in a way, purchase price from us, so that they have a clear goal that they're setting a target on that they can plan for. And more importantly, we're actually holding their hands planning for it. Or the other side of all of this now, as you guys can see and remember from the very first session now, is really helping them get their credit in check so that they're able to qualify for the financing that they need to become homeowners on their own. So let's take a look. Assuming that you've got them pre-qualified and they can actually buy up to, let's just say, 920,000. So we're going to do a bit of a different approach now too, because before we were leveraging the market value right now, and then we appreciate that. So today I'm just going to take a different approach so that you can see it from both angles as well. So let's just say if the option to purchase price is at 920,000, and we understand that in the last 5 to 10 years, BC has been growing like crazy. So I understand a lot of people are very inclined to say, well, it's been an average of 10% over the last 10 years in a row. However, let's just say that let's be a bit more cautious and conservative about this. And let's just say instead of 10%, instead of 3%, let's do a happy medium. How about 6% appreciation? Okay. And in general, just because the market's a little higher value, it does take an average household, family, dual income, single income, whatever the case may be, a little bit longer to get to that finish line. So instead of a 3-year example, how about let's do a 4-year example as well. So if this is the option to purchase price, what we need to do now is find what is the maximum current purchase price can be when we're buying that property for this particular tenant buyer. So what we'll do is we'll take $920,000 now, and we divide it by, instead of multiplying, divide it by 1.06, because it's 6% per year. And we got to do it 4 times. So and what we have now is 728,726. So if the current maximum based on the math is 728,726. I will probably just round that down. So really the purchase price for our property right now, I'm gonna say about 728,000. And so that has been predetermined, so that's good. What we're gonna do here is let's work with the tenant buyers first and foremost. As we keep saying, walk from the end goal in mind. So really the end goal is to make sure that there is a total option consideration that's gonna turn into their down payment when they're qualified and choose to exercise their option to purchase with you. So what that means is at 10% still, we're looking at 92,000. And so, for example, in this particular case, and this also begs another question, is that the last few days we've been using 10,000, 15,000, that kind of range when it comes to initial option consideration. Now, many people like to ask, do we have a bare minimum? Yeah, you know what? There is a bare minimum. However, is there really a fixed percentage that we use? No, simply because of the fact that once you understand how the numbers work, and this is day 3 now that we're doing this, you can see that all we're doing really is helping them get to that finish line, which means if they come up with a little bit more upfront, potentially they only need to do a little bit less on a monthly basis and vice versa. Now, I've heard a lot of investors that do the 3 to 5% range against the current property value. So what I mean by that is, let's go back to the 728 again. Some people will say they'll take 3 to 5%. So 3 to 5%, roughly, you're looking at about 21,000 to roughly about 36,000 when it comes to initial option consideration. Okay, so I'm just going to let you know that typically speaking, you probably want to stick on the higher end, especially in a higher end market. Why? Because if they have not got it in their head that they need to come up with some money or they need to be putting some money away, they're probably really not ready to do this either way. Okay, so in this case, how about we say $35,000 is what they have been stashed away or saved up. Stashed away sometimes sounds really funny to some people. So let's just do it this way. So 35,000. So 92 minus 35, now we have $57,000 that they've got to put aside. And over the course of 4 years, which is 48 months. So that means the monthly option consideration now is going to be 57,000 divided by 48 months. So monthly option consideration becomes 1187.5. So it's a fairly clean number. So today I'm not going to round anything here. Okay, now with a property like this, let's just say somewhere in the lower mainland market, that's Vancouver for a lot of you, Vancouver area, or even just outskirt of the Vancouver area, let's just say that the fair market rent for a property like that is, let's say, $2,800, for example, okay? You can see the rental yields are actually not extremely high in that market. However, if you have a different numbers that you're working with, just remember, at the end of the day, yes, I'm leveraging the lower mainland, the BC market as an example. However, in different pockets, different types of properties, and different quality and condition of the properties, you can still have some variances in terms of what the fair market rent could be. And that being said, remember, if it's a 4-year program, you can always build it in that the rent can still be increased from year to year. It's just that the way we do business, that's our business decision, is that basically we will take whatever the current fair market rent is and we will fix it there. So if it's sometimes though, if we do get a pretty wide range, we will definitely present the case and work it out with the tenant buyers. Because at the end of the day, if you pitch a too high of a number and they're not able, just because of that one single factor, everything else is fine. But because of that single factor, that's going to drive up their monthly payment like crazy and they're not able to get into it, you're probably not going to have a deal either. So there's a lot of give and take in between, but I just want to put it out there for you. So what that really means is from a cash flow perspective, okay, we have a revenue, 1187 here. So we have a revenue of, here, let me switch it to green, 3897. Okay, so coming back here, let's go back to, how about, let's do this color for total initial investment. So we've gone over this a few times now. So why don't we say, if you or your money partner can come in and buy this property at $728,000 and you're able to get qualified for 20% down. Remember yesterday or the last episode, we did 25%. You can decide what you want to run your numbers based on, okay? But here today, just for demonstration, we're gonna do 20%. So what that means is 145,600. And we're going to do inspection, plus appraisal, plus maybe miscellaneous. So some of you guys actually message me and say, whoa, so what could the miscellaneous part be? And my answer for you usually is you can basically change the locks or maybe buy them a gift card, or every single year, you buy them an anniversary gift as well. You can pre-budget that into the deal, okay? So remember, most of these properties so far, that we're using as an example, you can see that we're actually not going through the renovation process. So meaning that these properties that we're picking up are actually move-in ready. So that's why there's no renovations, no cosmetics, not even cosmetic fixes. Okay, so that's what the miscellaneous would be. And we've been using 500, 500, 500 each. So that's a total of 1,500. And then we'll have legal at 2,000 as our budget. So that's typically the expenses that you will incur in this case. And then what you will do in this case now is making sure that you put the IOC back in here for your deal analysis. And we say deal analysis is 35,000. So really the total initial investment in this particular case is, let's add it all up, 145,600 plus 1,500 plus the 2,000, and then you got a minus 35,000. So really, in actuality, the money going out of a bank account, going out of our pocket to get into this deal is 114,100. Now, with that said, 20% down, I'm just gonna write it here. 20% down, and then we've been working, yesterday we did 3%. Let's just change that to maybe 2.8%. How's that? And instead of 25 years, let's do 30 years once again. So 2.8%, 30-year amortization. Okay, so what that gives us is a PI of, where is it? 2388.04. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna round it up to 2389. How's that? Okay, so cash flow now is basically our revenue, which we already got, 3987.5, and then minus our expenses, which is our pity payment. First one is 2389. Let's just say that taxes on a property like this is 450 on a monthly basis, and insurance is 125 on a monthly basis. So let's get this figured out. 3987.5 minus 2389 minus 450 minus 125. So there is a monthly cash flow of 1023.5 in this particular case. Okay, so times 48 months, we have a total profit from cash flow of 49,128. Now, upon sale, the revenue from the sale is how much they need to buy it out for. So let's go into the expenses portion now. Going back to our mortgage calculator, we will find out at the end of the 4 years term, we still owe 529,813 on the mortgage. And then let's, just because actually, you know what? We actually didn't round any number, so that's totally fine. But I just want to really keep the same steps with you so that you remember to do the step. So 1187.5, which is the monthly option consideration, paying over 48 months is 57,000 plus the initial 35,000 right here. That means they do have their 92,000 as their total option consideration that'll turn into their down payment, and that we're rebating them. And then 2,000 once again for legal, and then the total initial investment. So we got to put some money back into our pocket first before we can figure out the total, the final profit upon sale. So let's grab our calculator once again. 920,000 is how much we put into our pocket minus paying the lender back on our mortgage outstanding, minus 92,000, which is giving them back their total option, and then $2,000 to our lawyer, and then putting back 114,100 first as our initial investment. So right here we have 1A2087. So at this point, if you're in the BC market, you probably know, hang on a second, there is something here that we might be missing. Remember what I said about Alberta? We are one of the provinces that does not have land transfer tax. So what that also means is we got to remember, because honestly though, sometimes even I forget, but we got to remember to go back to our mortgage calculator and then click on British Columbia so that it does reflect, okay? So it does reflect the land transfer tax. So where does land transfer tax go into again? Okay, I'm just gonna do a different color so you'll remember later on too, which is right here. Land transfer tax, in this particular case, based on the purchase price of $728,000, without having any sort of rebate, because this is the income property, so usually none of these government programs would apply for income properties, is $12,560. So really, the total initial investment is actually 126,660. Okay, so I wanted to purposely miss that step earlier so we can make sure that you also remember to do this. So what that really means is that this number minus 12,560. Now what we got here is a new figure of 169,527. So what we're gonna do now is let's add up profit at closing with the total profit from cash flow, which is the two numbers added together, we get 218,655. Not too shabby, right? So what we will do now is return sitting over initial investment, which is 126,660, and then we get basically 172%, however, over the course of 4 years. So we're looking at about 43.15% on an annual basis. So the biggest thing that I really want to stress with everybody is remember, because so many people have asked about this question, is where can this strategy work? What kind of market does it work in? At the end of the day, if you're doing tenant first and you're offering this as an alternative financing strategy, it really can work in any sort of markets, to be really honest, simply because of the fact that you're not restricted by the property values. The only thing that could determine where you can go is how much your tenant buyers can afford and can stick to. Because I understand that a lot of people, they will look at, for example, the 3987. So let's just say a monthly payment of $4,000 as a huge amount of money. And don't get me wrong, it is a lot of money for a lot of people. However, right now, we're focusing on the merit of the strategy itself and who you can help with this particular strategy. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I personally have done this strategy in various markets and in high value. So we've done we've utilized the strategies to buy properties from anywhere from $250,000 all the way to $1.2 million. And that's the current purchase value, which means their option to purchase price is usually higher than that. However, on the higher end though, and this is why I believe on day one, I did mention to you that self-employed people, business people, they're one of our favorite group of tenant buyers to work with, simply because of the fact that they usually can afford this type of monthly payment, and this is these are usually the type of properties that they're looking for, something a bit nicer. Again, in the BC market, $728,000. That's depending on where you are. It could be a 2-bedroom condo as well, or it could be a decent single family home in some areas, or even right outside of the loan mainland too. Once again, it has nothing to do with the property value, it has everything to do with what the tenant buyers can actually afford. And so same idea. The question that you really need to think about is, let's just say that somebody has the same budget of a budget of $500,000 in order for them to purchase a property. And they get qualified based on 20% down, 3% interest rate over 30-year amortization. Okay, you take that exact same qualification. You go to Vancouver, what can you buy with $500,000? You go to Toronto, what can you buy with $500,000? You come to Edmonton or Alberta, what can you buy with that? You go to the East Coast of Canada, what can you buy with that? You go to Seattle, you go to Chicago, you go to San Francisco, you go to New York, you go to somewhere smaller town in Texas or Idaho or Tennessee, anywhere in between. What can $500,000 get for you in all these different markets? Hopefully the dots have connected at this point, because you can buy a teeny tiny 1-bedroom or even a bachelor pad, literally a studio in some of the busiest and biggest cities and most expensive cities in the world, let's say New York City, for example, or you can go to a smaller town and $500,000 can probably even get you a nice mansion on the waterfront. However, if it's $500,000 and your qualification is all the same as I just described earlier, your monthly payment is exactly the same. So remember, ultimately speaking, it's all about the numbers and the qualification. So don't get carried away by the property. Once again, S&P properties is the last thing you look at whenever you're looking to invest. So even though we're using real estate as our main vehicle, just want to give you that one reminder once again. So thank you again for joining me today. Today I leveraged BC market as the example. However, really just wanted to kind of share with you once again, it's more about the numbers. So pricier markets, less expensive markets, doesn't really matter at all in this case. So hope you enjoyed that. If you got any questions or comments, make sure you reach out to me. I appreciate engagement, and more importantly, keep sharing, keep liking. It really means a lot to me to know that these videos are really adding value and you are really enjoying them and spreading the word for me. I really appreciate that, because I really truly want to help as many people as I possibly can, I physically can, to elevate people's financial intelligence and the way they look at investing, especially investing in real estate. So thank you so much again. I will see you back here tomorrow for episode 40 for this season already. Have a great evening. Live well.